All right, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to complete the square, or at least that's what it's asking us to do. But there's a trick, and here's the trick. And this is what I would do. I would not complete the square on this. What I would do is I would cheat. And the way I would cheat is they gave me option A, B, C, and D. And they said A is x minus 8 squared equals 5. X minus 8 squared equals 69. They gave me 2x, 2 times x minus 8 squared equals 10, and 2 times x minus 8 squared equals 74. I think, all right, and here's how I would cheat, okay? I would multiply all of these things out, FOIL the answer, and then compare which one looks like the original. Because what it's asking me to do is it's asking me to mess with this thing to look like one of these. But I could just do the reverse, right? I could just say, well, if I mess with this and make it look like that, before I taught you how to mess with this and complete the square, I taught you guys how to FOIL. Foiling is easy. Okay? So that's my approach to how I would do this problem. Let's try it. X minus 8 squared equals 5. Let me just square this thing out, if that's all right with you. This would be x squared minus 64. Everyone agree? Mm-hmm. Diamond says yes. Bradley? Bradley's not paying attention. Because Bradley said no, and Diamond and Kayla, you both deserve a boot to the face. This is my big pet peeve. This is the one I'm always catching you folks on. X minus 8 squared, you don't just make it x squared minus 8 squared. You don't just take it like, oh, that's x squared minus 8 squared. You can distribute that 2 in there. What you need to do is this, x minus 8 times x minus 8. Do you disagree that that's the same? Yeah, that's definitely the same. There's no question about that.
I thought you just did it in your head.
Yeah, no, I can do this in my head, and I'll show you how to do it in your head. But since all of my students, not just you, but all of my students have proven to not really be good at doing this in their head, I would recommend writing it out. It takes you 5 more seconds, but it won't screw you up. Okay? All right. We FOIL this. We good with foiling? Okay. So x squared minus 8x plus 64 equals 5. We cool? And then this is x squared minus 16x plus 64 equals 5. Because these guys are like terms. So what I convinced you somehow is to say, oh, it's x squared plus 64, or even x squared minus 64, but you forgot what we call the cross term. And that cross term is this middle term right there. Are we cool with that? And don't worry, don't feel bad. I get I get the majority of students every time I do that, and I always tell them that's the boot to the face. My big boot to the face pet peeve. Mm-hmm. And no matter how many times I've done that, they still mess it up. Okay? So hopefully, after I keep making the same joke over and over and over again, Bradley's finally caught on to it. He said, wait a second, you're just trying to mess with us here.
Okay.
And yes, Mr. Dalday is a jerk, and he likes to mess with his students. Because it will help you remember not to do it in the future. Yeah. Okay? All right, anyway. this doesn't really look like this. Okay? Let me try to make it look a little bit more like that. I'm going to take the 64 on that side. Okay? So I've got x squared minus 16x equals negative 59. Got it? And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply everything through by 2, the number 2. Why would I do that? Well, because I'm trying to make it look like this. So I notice there's no 2 out in front here. So if I multiply everything by 2, I'll be good, right? So I've got 2x squared minus 32x equals, I don't know, what is that? Negative 118? I'm sorry. This is not the same as this. So I can cross this out. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's try B. I'm not going to erase all of this. Actually, fine, I will. Let's try B. Let's make this a 69. Okay. So this is x squared minus 64. Cool? Oh, good. I'm glad you didn't fall for it a second time. There's a plus 64, so you square that, and then in the middle over here, it's that cross term. I'll show you the trick for me doing it in my head real quick. If you forget the trick, because you might forget the trick on the test, just write it as x minus 8 times x minus 8 and FOIL it. Okay? But I'll show you the trick. You take 2 times this times that. So in the middle is the negative 16x. Because 2 times negative 8 times x is negative 16x. We cool? All right. And then that's equal to 69. I'm going to move that over to that side. I got x squared minus 16x equals 5. And then I'm going to double everything. So I've got 2x squared minus 32x equals 10. Are we cool? Oh, hey, check this out. That's the same as that. Therefore, B is your answer. Now, I have a question. And this is kind of for anyone who's here. Do you want me to show you how to complete the square? Is that because to be honest with you, I can. I honestly think that you can get away with not having to know it. Even if they tell you complete the square, we foiled. Foiling is way easier than completing the square.
Mm-hmm.
I can do it if you want to remember
Do you
it.
have to do it in any of your assignments?
My assignments, you do have to do it. So yeah, it might be a good idea to just cover it real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to cover it real quick. I'm going to go fast, all right? But at least we know what the answer should be.
Yeah.
Cool? Okay. I'll be honest with you, Kayla. I think that we had to do it in my assignments in the second quarter. So before January. So not in any of these ones. I think you even got an A in that.
Then we're fine.
All right.
We don't have to do it.
So I'm just going to skip that for now. Or I'll tell you what. I'll still go through it. I'll just go real quick. Okay? All right. So the first thing with completing the square, you want to not have a number in front of your x squared term. So you just divide everything by 2. X squared minus 16x equals 5. And then what I'm going to do is, notice how I put a really weird space. And that space is right here. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this number, divide him by 2, and square it. So negative 16 divided by 2 squared is 64. Right? Negative 16 divided by 2 is 8. Square that, 64. So I'm going to add 64 to this side. But I can't just go straight up adding 64 to this side. I have to subtract 64 at the same time. Does that make sense? Because what adding 64 to one side only would do would just mess with my equation. But if I add and subtract 64 at the same time, I'm really just adding 0. Cool? These first three terms factor out to this. And it's not even going to take that much convincing because we've seen this 3 times already,
Yeah.
right? This guy right over here is still there. Here we go. So that 64 got absorbed into here, but then that minus 64 was still left outside there. I'm just going to add 64 onto that side, if that's all right with you. I've got x minus 8 squared equals 69. Hey, guess what? That's the same exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to do it this way, be my guest. If you want to, if you can't remember the process of completing the square, I understand that too. I get freaked out on tests. So what I look for is shortcuts that I can remember. Cool. All right, I'm going to stop that archive. I'm going to go into the next one.